Hey y'all, good Sunday evening to you, November the 2nd out here, and it's a little airish. Of course, Texans call 60s airish, and 50s an all-out cold front. But, fall weather is here, along with shorter days, a little bit longer nights. Up here, I just got the goats settled in the pen, and my old Tabasco pepper plants, it's about time for them to transplant to a pot to stave out the winter time. Looking at that old 3/4 moon in a field that lays dormant for the winter, ahead of hopefully a good crop next year. Lots of stuff going on here, there, and everywhere. Got some visitors coming here in a couple of 3 weeks. Excited about that. It'll be my little granddaughter in South Carolina. Be her first trip to the farm to speak of that she'll remember, and she's sure excited to come see Chicken Pawpaw. Talked with her this morning. She's something else. Little Toot's got a new Bible verse for me every day, and that's all right. But we sure need to train them up that way, right? In the fear and admonition of the Lord. If they depart, they'll come back. I'm living proof of it, I suppose. Got a weird week ahead, weird month, weird holidays. World's a different place, and a lot of folks are anxious. I've been meditating on it the last few days and weeks, and trying to put my thoughts together from my perspective. And I heard I've been raised in and around church and Bible, and read it through I don't know how many times, and but you don't see things, or maybe until it's time to see them, right? Y'all ever experienced that? I'm sure some of you have. But I ran across a sermon by one of the fellows I follow and enjoy listening to, and he was going down a different route, but he was talking about a verse, and I believe it's Mark 4, in a way I'd never seen it before. Those of a Christian heritage of some degree will remember the story of Jesus asleep in the bow of the ship, or the hinder part of the ship, as they crossed the old Sea of Galilee, and the disciples were fretting and had a problem with the wind, scared they was going to capsize, and here he was asleep in the boat. Well, that's a whole nother sermon because of the peace of it, but my takeaway, if you look at Mark 34, 36, I believe it is, the disciples' boat wasn't the only one on the stormy sea. There were other little ships around. And when Jesus was awoken and calmed the sea, obviously all the boats made it across the old Sea of Galilee just fine to the other side. The pondering is the other boats didn't have Jesus aboard their boat. I guess they questioned how in the world they survived that storm. And word spread pretty quickly that it was because of what was in that other boat that guided them through. It makes the point that the demon-possessed man from Gadara that met them there at the shore, all the way to the woman with the issue of blood, and Jairus' daughter that he rose from the dead, as he really started getting a stronghold in his ministry of miracles. Word had spread about who was in that boat that evening on that stormy Sea of Galilee. And it really rung my bell to think about those around us that maybe don't have Christ in their boat of sorts. Maybe those storms aren't always to teach us something, but maybe it's to prevent them from going through something, and to come to find out how we survived that storm. Lots of storms around us these days. Probably hiding under a bushel more often than not. I've been raised in a church culture that honestly I've always questioned. If we go to church on Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night, and we believe in him and try to do good with food drives and things of that nature. But we missed his clear direction in Acts 1 from his own mouth as people ask about the signs around us when the time would come for the end. Way too many people focus on that. They don't do it out of fear, or maybe it's just curiosity or looking to escape through whatever means of deliverance from God. But he told them one thing. He said, go be witnesses for me. I'm afraid we spend most of our time cowered in that boat, not spreading the good news, spreading things about Christ when you've got a hurting world around you that needs it so desperately. Maybe it's because we're embarrassed to bring it up, huh? Some of us fear rejection. And I guess it's really not heartfelt just to go up to somebody, ask them where they go to church. It's not necessarily about that over the relationship. That icebreaker doesn't always work because it just kind of falls flat on its face, I think. Better yet, why couldn't you ask them what you could pray for them about? Maybe they don't want you to do it publicly, but just that gesture, ask them, how's life going? Open that door and let the Lord do the rest. Be a friend in that relationship just as he did in all of his encounters throughout that Bible, divine word that we got from him. I think it's odd how we say we won't want to talk about it, but if you're sitting in a cafe having coffee and you overhear the old boy next to you at the table talking about, man, I got to get some new tires for my truck. You don't know him from Adam, but you've got a good friend that takes care of your vehicle and you want to help folks. It's just by nature. So you lean over and you tell him all about the shop that you use and the good price and tell him I sent you, right? Why in the world of all things eternal would we not share Jesus, our best friend, deliverer? Never figured that out. So many people are just comfortable to go along to get along and see a dire need, step in. But sometimes those that need it the most need to be jogged a little bit. A friendly conversation, a good smile, right? I don't know if that's for you. It's for me more than anything, but pray them old pews are full of people with Jesus in the boat, and there's little ships around them sinking in the storm for lack of knowing that man on the rudder in that boat. Some people try to use a shotgun when a rifle will do. You know, when somebody's not hungry, they've got a lot of problems. Everything's a problem, right? But when they're hungry, they've only got one problem, right? They say a lot of folks will be hungry. I don't know about all that. I think we've got crises, sure. And we won't get political by any means. But maybe that's a time to step up in your faith, and maybe people are a little bit more receptive to hear your helpmeet that guides the rudder in your boat through life. Maybe not. That's how I think. I think so oftentimes people are like, man, I can't do what you do, Joel. I can't get on there. No, I'm not saying to do that. That's all right. Everybody's got their own little witness to do. It's all about affecting one at a time. I call it operating from the margins. Maybe it's not the spotlight on that piece of paper. There's a story in the Old Testament, Exodus. You can look it up. Her name's only mentioned really 3 times throughout the Bible. But without her, you never would have had the Moses impact. The children would not have been led from Israel because God would have struck him dead. Her name was Zipporah. Imagine that. Y'all ever heard of her? Look it up. Moses had fled Egypt after killing the Egyptian over the Hebrew slave and had found exile in Midian. And he lived there for quite some time, met a Midianite, married her, had 2 sons. Over the course of a few decades, there toward the end, God called Moses to go back and lead his chosen, his people out. A lot of us know the story about the plagues and the burning bush. Well, in between the burning bush and the plagues and the deliverance, Moses questioned God, didn't think he'd had the speech, so God provided a way with Aaron there, showed him the miracles with his staff and all of those. But as he was about to travel to begin the process of pleading with Pharaoh to let those people go. God threatened to kill him. There's not much about it in the verse in Exodus, but he was going to strike him dead. Zipporah, not from a Jewish heritage, she revered God in her own way, but they understood him differently than those Israelites that they've come to be known. She discerned that Moses had not followed the covenant of circumcision in one of his sons. She immediately took action, staved off God's wrath, and saved Moses' life. How many of y'all knew that? I sure didn't until a few weeks ago when I was studying it. It blew my mind because I thought about how many of us don't really think we can impact anyone. Maybe we won't be talked about. Maybe you won't get 1,000 likes on Facebook or a viral reel on TikTok, even accolades of church. Zipporah sure didn't. But because she intervened and took action, Moses' life was spared from the very Creator that has selected him for the job. God's laws are sovereign. I was talking to a good buddy of mine down Vidor, Texas way, a little south of there, actually. The man gave me this hat, in fact. One of my best friends and one of those guys I talk to, at least, we try to talk every other day or so, and no matter what we're talking about and cutting up, we have a good time. We always end up talking about the good Lord. And we were talking about the difference in the God of the Old Testament and the New Testament. This is kind of elevated and maybe the advanced class, and it's just a couple old country boys talking about it. So I don't know that it holds theologically, but it's kind of good to wrap your head around it in a simple way. It's all about works in the Old Testament, just like the story of Zipporah and circumcision. God was serious about his covenants in those days, and the only way to get in his grace was to follow those covenants, the Passovers and all the rituals that they had. The New Testament's a different story. It's a story of grace. Same God, different dispensations. But we liken it to an old dad, maybe he's 25 years old, the Old Testament God. This kind of gave me a chuckle, but it made me understand it. A young dad rules his house with order, not chaos, right? There's no gray lines because he wants to do it right. He wants that child of his to come in subjection. And so oftentimes they do out of the love of not wanting to get a whooping, right? So they do it begrudgingly. They make their bed, wash the dishes. Maybe not so much out of love as much as it is out of fear of reprisal from dad. But I think the New Testament shows us a different type of wisdom, almost like a grandfather. Grandfather, that dad grows old, his sons have sons, and he sees things a little differently, right? Now, y'all leave me alone. It was just old country boy looking at it. I told you it wasn't theological sound, but it's a fun thought experiment. Granddad's got a little more wisdom and knows that maybe just can't live up to all those things, and before he sent his son to die, right? To give us that grace. It's not by works anymore, even though those are important. So maybe the New Testament, God is more like an old granddad that he counsels his grandchildren, and they truly love him out of love, right? Instead of just because he ain't going to give them a whooping. Not many granddads do anyway, but they're stern, and they impart wisdom. I don't know, that was just something for me and him, I guess. We get off on some rabbit trails like that. That's okay, isn't it? Hope y'all think about that this week. In a crisis, people need stability. With or without things going on around us in the political environment, people are in crisis every day, looking for answers. And if you're a Christian, you've got the ultimate answer for them. Think about sharing it. Maybe just in a soft smile and a caring heart to maybe pray for a situation they're going through. Tammy and I did that. We do it from time to time. It's awkward. It is. We was out to eat the other evening. Something just impressed me. I didn't want to be out of order from me being a male and the waitress. And Tammy's of the same mind as I on trying to spread that light. And I said, something about that waitress. I said, ask her if we can pray for her, if life's good. And of course, Tammy did, and the little lady kind of took her back a minute. She was trying to figure out her angle, and there wasn't one. Wasn't trying to recruit her or anything, just genuinely doing what Christ asked us to do. Come to find out, her parents are going through a divorce. She's in her late teens, but she was concerned for her little brother, age 14, and taking it hard, and asked us that God would minister to him and possibly even reconcile that family. Right? Never would have found that out. We just sat there and let her fill our tea and gave her a good tip. It's been nice to do that, but we had the power to take that need before the throne, and we did. That's what he asked us to do, folks. All else is futile. Make much about Jesus. I'm going to try my hardest every day to do better. Maybe I'll get there. Y'all can join me if you want, right? Lift everybody up around you. They need it. We all need it, right? Y'all have a good evening. Sunset, and it's going to be dark soon. Time to get things battened down. I've got the old gas heater cranked up for the winter. It may go low, but it isn't going to go off until probably February. Oh, maybe gets tickled at me. I've got to be backed up to that thing, even though it's 70 degrees outside. Oh man. Well, y'all make a difference this week and be an encourager. Get your eyes off the storm around you and think about the little ships that are out there on that storm with you. Show them what you got in the boat. It'll make a difference. Be the light, y'all. Ruby, come on.